Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, I'm Elliot. I am a writer and content creator. My channel is all about helping you write your first novel, or if you are currently working on your first novel, help you keep going, keep you motivated. So this is a new year and I wanted to challenge myself this year to read more. Last year was quite busy, a lot of stuff happened. Actually being more committed to this channel and doing more stuff around writing and video creation, it kept me very busy, so I didn't get a chance to read a lot. So I feel like this year that is one of my goals, to read more. So I want to start reading books in different genres. Not only that, reading books in every different sub-genre. Then my wife, knowing what a big sports fan I am, suggested that I put all these books into a playoff bracket. So after I finish 2 books, I'll compare it and then I'll send one off to the next round. It's kind of a crazy idea. I'm not really sure how it's gonna work yet. Would I have to reread a book every round? I'm definitely not gonna do that. Well, the first encompassing genre that I'm gonna be doing this, I guess I'll be spending most of this year doing it, is the fantasy genre, which has always been very near and dear to my heart. So that was a little bit of a longer intro than I expected. I guess I always have more stuff to say. But I want to introduce my first subcategory to you in the fantasy genre, and that is contemporary fantasy. And the book I'm choosing for it is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. This, I actually was researching just like best fantasy books ever, and this book kept popping up. I've actually never read a Neil Gaiman book before, so I'm very excited to read this. It's quite dense. I'm an incredibly slow reader, and this is a library book too, so I really gotta work at it. So contemporary fantasy has fantastical elements, such as, you know, magic, gods, witches, warlocks, strange mythical beasts, that kind of type of stuff. But it's usually set in contemporary times, which can be modern times, like right now, or it could be whenever the writer wrote it. I'm really looking forward to this. It was published in 2001, so it's really not that long ago. You look at the cover, it's a pretty funny cover. I've seen other covers of it. This seems like a perfect one to start off both this series that I'm doing and also just the first book I read from him. So I'll check back with you guys around the halfway point, talk about how I feel, how I'm enjoying it. A book is like a relationship you have with someone. You bring them along with you on your little journeys, and you kind of hold it by your side. It's like you sleep with it by your bed. I love that. I love that about books. That is all I have to say for now. I'll check back with you guys in maybe a week or so, probably more than a week. And I'll let you know how it's going. Contemporary fantasy. So still reading American God. It's been about a week or so. And I'm about over halfway now. And page 465 out of 750. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I haven't read a book like this in a while. I've been reading a lot of nonfictions, business, self-help books. Very different from Tony Robbins, is how I explained it to a friend. Neil Gaiman does such a good job with witty conversations. This is what I'm discovering. This is the first book I've read from him, but it's just so, it's so smart. Just the way characters interact with each other. It's like listening to your friends talk at a bar with each other. They're like snapping back and forth, and they're kind of arguing. They're calling each other dumb, but in very intelligent ways. Another thing that is really good about this book so far is the verisimilitude. I really thought it would be more fantasy, but it's actually very realistic. They have conversations that I would have about KFC, and it's pretty great. It's pretty great. So there's a lot of creative aspect to this book that I'm noticing as well, that I'm like, man, that's really interesting, very imaginative. And one of them is that at one point earlier in the book, all these characters have to get on a carousel and all the different horses, I guess, are different animals. That's a very interesting way to showcase like different fantasy aspects. Another one that's just so like real yet original at the same time is the main character Shadow ends up at the small town. There's this lake in this small town and it freezes over during the winter, and there's this community draw that happens, and everybody tries to guess how long it takes like a car, an old decrepit car, to fall into the water for spring to come. And everybody places bets on when they think it would happen. The more I'm reading this, the more I realize that it's not truly fantasy. It feels very, very contemporary. It leans so much heavier on the side of contemporary than the side of fantasy at the moment. What I'm noticing so far is that world building can happen not just in an imaginative world, but it can very much be created through places that already exist, and I think Neil Gaiman does a really good job of that. He is, of course, not an American. He is British, but he lives in America now, so that's cool. That's cool. It's very much a story where the main character is kind of like a passenger, and he's being taken to all these different locations, and he has to interact with different people. I don't think I spoiled anything from what I've just said, but I'll check back in maybe another week or so. I'll finish this up and I'll wrap it up, and then we'll move. Maybe more fantasy will happen in this book. I sure hope so. All right, did it. Finish American Gods by Neil Gaiman. When I picked up this book, I was hoping to read a contemporary fantasy. That was the goal. So do I think it's a contemporary fantasy? Sure. But the thing is, only the last third of the book is actually, in my mind, fantastical. A lot of it was very contemporary. Like 2/3 of it was contemporary. So last time I talked to you, I was mentioning how real this book felt, how much I related to it actually. It takes a very hard left turn in this book, and it really caught me by surprise, to be honest. But I will say this, Marvel's Thor kind of ruined Norse mythology for me. All the Odin, all the Loki stuff, and it just kind of took me out of the story a bit. But that's not the fault of Neil. Neil is just telling his story. That's really more the fault of Thor and Marvel Cinematic Universe and just being more popular. That tends to happen in entertainment. In terms of the story itself, I got the old gods versus new theme, but a lot of the symbolism kind of went over my head, like the world tree and stuff like that. It's like pulled from real life, I guess, religious mythology or whatever you call it. If you're really into old mythology, I think you might get a kick out of it. I, for one, it went like, I don't know what. I'm not too familiar with too many religious archetypes or themes, and that sort of dampened the overall effect of the book, I feel. What I did enjoy at the end is Neil Gaiman's representation of Afterlife. I thought that was a very interesting part in the book. I think that's my main criticism with the book. It's 2/3 of it very realistic, very in the real world, and then last third just super weird. And I feel like it's the last third that is the most important. I haven't read a book like this in a while where it changes so dramatically like near the end. This being the first episode of reading every subgenre there is and then ranking it, I can't really rank it because it's obviously number one. But if I was to sort of rank it somehow, as in will I read this again, I don't think I will. I don't think I will. It's a very long book. It's a very long book. I had a lot of fun. I think I got a lot out of it. I think if I did read it again, I would pick up on a lot of subtleties. But overall, I don't think I will. Not at this point. Not at this point. I'm very happy I got through it. I think Neil Gaiman is a terrific writer, and it was very imaginative. It's very, like, the realism aspects, love it, but just as a whole, I don't think I could go through that again. All right, if you want to find out what subgenre I'm going to read next time in the fantasy category, hit subscribe. All right, I'll see you guys next time.